Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. So folks, I'm going to let you know that when it comes to the Detroit Lions, we all know the score, we all know the story. And the reason I say that is because we have seen the story, we have seen the script, we have seen it happen time and time again with the Lions. They constantly get put down whenever it's deemed necessary to put them down. And no example was better of that than Sunday night against the Kansas City Chiefs. Because the NFL did what it does best Sunday night. They made sure that there was absolutely no way that the Lions in the second half of that game were going to find a way to win. Because think about that. The first half of that game against the Chiefs, it was a pretty good neck-and-neck game. Lions were up 10-6 one point. They were down 10-13 going into the half. It looked like a really, really good game. And then all of a sudden, the second half comes along, and everything just changes on a dime. Now all of a sudden we have the NFL not calling things that the Chiefs are absolutely doing. Holding calls, blocks in the back, calling catches on things that aren't catches. That's the NFL going into full-on protection mode for what they deem to be their cash cow. And that's the Kansas City Chiefs. Because think about it. No team in the NFL over the last year and a half has gotten more protection, has gotten more support, has gotten more benefit of the doubt than the Kansas City Chiefs. All last year, they got that. I mean, when you go 15-2 and you're winning games barely because, oh, you know what, this call, this or that call, somehow miraculously went your way, or you just got a lucky bounce of the ball and somehow that was the reason you won. It's like, okay, you can get lucky maybe once, twice, 3 times if you push it. But freaking 15 times out of 17, at some point you really got to step back and be like, yo, is somebody really setting us up here just to make sure we don't fail? Because think about it. Not only did it happen last year, but take a look at how the Chiefs started this year. They started 0-2. And yet somehow they've gotten back to 500. They've gotten back to 500 after they played the Jacksonville Jaguars the previous week before us. And that game, they had 13 penalties against the Jaguars. Yet somehow the very next week, they have a big old goose egg in that department. When there should have been at least a handful of penalties that the Chiefs should have been called for. But yet, they didn't get one single penalty. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, other than the fact that the NFL has once again been caught blatantly cheating or blatantly sponsoring a team to be successful, absolutely shameful about it. The point of the matter is that, you know what? For the Detroit Lions, for me, I'm not going to look at this any other way than, okay, you are seriously in trouble now. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. If there's one team in the NFL you do not want to piss off, if there's one team in the NFL you do not want to get on their bad side, it is the Detroit Lions. And here is the reason why. The Detroit Lions are quite literally the one team you do not want to get mad for one simple reason that's broken down into 4 parts. And here's what it is. Adversity breeds resilience. Resilience breeds execution. Execution breeds confidence. Confidence breeds winning. Think about that I just said. Those 4 parts. The Lions have literally gone through that 4-part scenario every stinking year that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have been in charge of the team. And every single year, they have proven that whenever they face adversity that is absolutely 100% unfair to just absolutely no end, they always come back stronger for it. Think about it. You go back to 2022, Carolina Panthers game. We go into that game, we're thinking we're going to win that game. We should have won that game. But then we find out that the field conditions were absolutely terrible. Absolutely horrendous. NFL didn't care. NFL still made sure that the game happened. What happens? We finish the season 9-8 and we keep the Packers out. That was our resiliency move that year. Next year in 2023, hey, you know what? The freaking, Cowboys absolutely get away with bloody murder on primetime. And what happens? The Lions win out the rest of their games, if I recall correctly. They go into the playoffs. They win 2 very, very tightly contested playoff games against both the Rams and the Bucs, and they come within a whisker of getting to a Super Bowl. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, if you're going to talk about winning, you got to win a Super Bowl. Think about this, folks. This is the Detroit Lions. This is a team that everybody and their brother for years has said they are cursed to never win a Super Bowl. And quite literally, in 2023, they were that damn close to getting to one. A whisker away from doing it. The only reason that they didn't was because the defense literally left their foot off the gas in the second half. If we'd have literally stopped playing at halftime, the Lions would have been on their way to the Super Bowl, and God only knows what would have happened if the Lions had played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl that year. God only knows. So yes, I call for what it is. The NFL got away with blatantly cheating by sponsoring the freaking Chiefs yet again to make sure that they wouldn't lose to the Lions and fall to 2-4. Now yes, I'll call it also for what it is. The Lions did not follow through and finish on crucial plays that the refs didn't have any hand in necessarily, taking away from them. They had chances on offense to make plays happen, but they didn't get it done. They didn't follow through on those crucial plays. They missed chances to keep the game close or pull ahead. That's on the Lions offense by not fully executing. But if you realistically go back to that game against the Chiefs Sunday night, the refs in the second half, they did virtually everything they could in their power to make sure that the Lions were not given any free breaks. It absolutely is bewildering to me that a team that had 13 penalties the week before all of a sudden goes from 13 to 0 in the span of 1 week. 1 week, you go from 13 to zip in terms of penalties. No team is going to be able to clean that well up that fast. It's not going to happen. So the fact that all those penalties that should have been called were not called against the Chiefs, and that somehow the Lions got penalized on certain things that necessarily, are an interpretation of the rule, or, hey, you know what? Hey, I'm going to take the opinion that this is a time to call this play, when on other times it wouldn't necessarily be called, like the defensive pass interference or defensive holding. It's like, okay, it's interesting how during that particular moment you wanted to call that, but other times you don't want to call it. That's why I'm saying the Lions didn't get any free breaks in that second half, and the ridiculous non-calls that the Chiefs did not have was, again, a perfectly disgusting example of the NFL wanting to make sure that the Chiefs were going to continue to be their meal ticket for the season. Because think about it. Everybody has said it before. I've even said it before. The NFL is an entertainment business. And if you're an entertainment business, the one thing that you are all about doing is generating money. You're all about revenue. Well, think about this. There were 2 reasons why the NFL did not want the Lions to win on Sunday night. And the first one, as I just stated, is revenue. The NFL wanted to make sure that the Chiefs won that night for one simple reason. Who needs the game more? A 2-3 Chiefs team that absolutely needs that game to stay at 500, or a Lions team that's 4-1, and if they somehow lose, it's not necessarily going to impact the national narrative that they can still go to a Super Bowl. But if the Chiefs lose and they go to 2-4, not so much. Because think about it. If the Lions go to 5-1, it's going to continue the thought process that they're the best team in football. They go to 4-2, they're still going to be considered one of the best teams in football. Maybe not the best anymore, but they're still going to be considered a top 5 team. But if the Chiefs lose, now you've got this whole completely different narrative that you've got to completely change, and now your cash cow's gone. Or it's gone or it's not as, successful, or it's not as generating as it used to be. Because at 2-4, it's not the same as being 3-3. So what did the NFL do? The NFL wanted to protect its literal cash cow of Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Taylor Swift. Because think about it. Every time Taylor Swift shows up to a Chiefs game, whether it's at home or it's an important road game, the NFL is always there. And I swear to the good Lord above, every time Swift is in the crowds, they never fail to show her in that, sweet box at least 2, 3, 4 times throughout the game. They never fail to show her. And it's like, dude, the NFL realizes that with Taylor Swift on the Chiefs bandwagon, that she's engaged to Travis Kelce, that's a perfect way to spread their brand. That's a perfect way to get more money. So why in the hell would they want to somehow clip that? They wouldn't. They want to make sure they get all the money they possibly can. They want to make sure they milk that cash cow for every last penny they can get. And it makes better sense to do it when the Chiefs are 3-3 rather than 2-4. That's one reason that the Lions had almost no shot of winning that game, even though I was cautiously optimistic going into the game. But even going into the game, I was like, the Lions are going to have to be damn near perfect in order to win this game. And unfortunately, they weren't. The second reason is because of prestige. Again, which sounds better to an NFL narrative creator, an NFL narrative producer? An upstart franchise that over the last couple of years has really built itself up into a national brand that's on the verge of getting to its first Super Bowl and brings down a dynasty that's been, the cream of the crop for the last couple of years, or a dynasty that's been having some troubles, claws its way back out of a hole to resume its spot as a Super Bowl threat, and now they're primed to go into the second half of the season with one of their top threats coming back from suspension, and now they're all set up to go on their run because, hey, you know what? You've got Xavier Worthy. You've got your other guy coming back from suspension. The offense now seems to be rolling. What sounds better to a narrative writer? Is it the fact that the Lions beat the Chiefs, or the fact that the Chiefs beat the Lions in an improbable way, and now they're set up to go all the way to the Super Bowl yet again? What sounds better, or rather I should say sounds easier, is the second of the two. I know for us Lions fans, we would go for the first one. But you know what? Nobody gives a damn about the Lions because the Lions don't have the cash cow venue that the Chiefs do. They don't have no Taylor Swift. They don't have no Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes duo. I would like to argue that they do with Goff and, with St. Brown, but nobody looks at them that way just yet, though they should. And the reason why I say that is because in one scenario that I just talked about, you maintain the status quo that you've had for the last couple of years, whereas in the other one, you're killing off a dynasty that has been generating you money up the yin-yang for the last couple of years, and now you have to try and shop for a completely new narrative as the top dog in the NFL. And here's the thing. No NFL narrative writer wants to seriously consider long-term the Lions being the top dog. That's why the NFL has continued to do what they've been doing for the last, 20, 30 years. Because think about it, for the last 15 years before the whole Chiefs dynasty nonsense came about, what was the narrative that the NFL wanted to pull for all it was worth? The Brady-Manning rivalry. Because think about it, every stinking year, those two guys would play each other at least once. Multiple years, they'd play themselves twice. They'd play once in the regular season, and then they'd play usually once in the playoffs. And every time that there was going to be a Brady-Manning matchup, the NFL never missed a beat to make sure that that was what was talked about on every major analyst and every show going into that game. Because they wanted to milk that for all it was worth. The NFL's now just switched the narrative to, instead of two players playing up against one another that are Hall of Famers in Brady and Manning, now they're wanting to focus on, the Chiefs dynasty. they want to make sure that the Chiefs dynasty lasts for as long as they possibly can make it last until somehow, some way, they just can't do it anymore. Whether it's Kelsey retiring, whether something happens with Swift and Kelsey, whether something happens with Reed retiring, whatever have you. They are going to make sure that that cash cow is alive and well for as long as they can hold it. But I'm going to tell you this right now. You do that, and the reason that I say that is because the NFL did do that. You have now pissed off the Detroit Lions to no end. Because the Lions know full and damn well that they got screwed on Sunday night. Oh, sure, they had their own moments where they screwed themselves. But all those non-calls, which are out there all over the internet, all those little meme clips, all those little clips that you see on Twitter and Facebook, they're for everybody to see. And everybody knows that once again, the Chiefs got away with highway robbery. And the Lions know it better than anybody else because they're the ones that had to be subjected to it. And here's what I'm going to tell you. The NFL is a business, as I've already stated. And the NFL, as a business, it recognizes what's the best way to keep their interests and thus the money flowing into their coffers. Because right now, the NFL is in a competition with the other major leagues. Think about it. The MLB is winding down its season, and, the World Series is right around the corner. So now the NFL is competing for time slots on TV and for revenue shares for people that are wanting to, invest in baseball. But at the same time, they're trying to make sure that their brand is getting the revenue shares that they feel are necessary. And this is all in the middle of a government shutdown where people are pinching pennies and they can't spend as much money. So now it makes it even more important that the NFL gets that money. So the NFL is going to make sure that it protects itself by unashamedly ensuring their top revenue generator keeps making them money. And if the Lions come off as sore losers or bullies at the end of the game with the whole incident with Brian Branch, and if that adds sympathy to the Chiefs, which makes, even more money for them, then hell, for them, they're going to be more than happy to facilitate that. Because that's what the NFL does. The NFL is all about the moolah. And by doing this, the NFL has showed their true colors. And their true color is green, the color of money. They are all about the money, which comes as no surprise to anybody because that's what they are. The NFL is all about making a product that people want to watch. And if they can do it by maintaining their cash cow as long as possible, they will do it. But here's the thing. You want to know what the Lions' colors are? They're black and blue. And I'm not just saying that because that's their uniform colors. That's the colors of their mentality. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. The way the NFL screwed the Lions over in the second half of that game Sunday night, they are going to take that and they are going to literally beat the ever-living hell out of every team that they come up against for the next, 11 weeks? They are going to kick every ass from here to Timbuktu because they realized that the NFL put up that despicable farce of a loss cloaked in the guise of a professional fair officiating that was sponsored by the NFL and use it to then in turn destroy the NFL. The Lions know they got hosed. The Lions know that they had a bunch of calls that didn't go their way that should have absolutely been called. They know they did. And the rest of the NFL knows they did. And other fan bases, whether you like the Lions or not, know they did. And if there's one thing that everybody knows about the Lions is that when they are pissed off and they are treated poorly, is you are going to make an enemy which has no compromise to wanting to make sure they get theirs in return. And there is not going to be any quarter that is given to any enemy that they come up against. They will now fight, claw, scratch, and just absolutely do whatever it takes to just absolutely destroy you, eviscerate you. And it's all going to be because the NFL was more interested in profits than they were in integrity. The Lions know that. Just like the Lions know that, hey, you know what? The way the game went, that's the way the game went. But here's how you win against that. You take what the NFL gave you, which was a crap sandwich, and you say, okay, we understand what you gave us, but our revenge is now we're going to come back and we're going to kick your ass and we're going to win doing it. That's the revenge factor. And if there's one team that is better at the revenge factor than anybody else in the NFL, it's the Detroit Lions. That's why I'm telling y'all, the NFL just literally lit a massive stick of dynamite, and it's the Detroit Lions. And the Detroit Lions are about to break the NFL for once again shamefully screwing them over and doing it with a team that quite literally for the last year and a half has had no business being in the top echelon spot because they have not played as top echelon players or as a top echelon team. They just haven't done it. No team, as I said, has gotten more breaks or more professional sponsoring from the NFL than the Kansas City Chiefs. It's just, there's no way you can argue it. Anybody that would try to argue it would look like an instant fool. And the reason why is because the proof literally exists going all the way back to the beginning of 2024. So like I just said, NFL, great that you protected your cash cow. But it's going to cost you, and it's going to cost you in a very painful way because I'm telling you this right now. The Lions are going to take this loss, and they are going to use it as the sheer motivation that they need to absolutely kick every team's ass along their way to a Super Bowl. You just literally lit the stick of dynamite that is going to absolutely obliterate everybody else that they come up against. And trust me, it's going to happen. Write it down, mark it down somewhere. It's going to happen. But anyway, I've said my piece, so having said it, I'm going to end this episode and say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe. If by chance you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and you not yet had a chance to do so, I want to highly encourage y'all, make sure you hit that bell notification icon so that you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Hope y'all are doing well. Hope y'all got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.